Good afternoon. Today is Monday, April 27, and today we are going on to a new skill set. We're going to be looking at triangles, and this will be the first of 5 skills that we will be covering in our second test, and that test will be on May 8th, Friday, May 8th. This particular IXL skill is on congruent triangles, and you'll be able to determine triangle congruence, in this case using side, 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 and side angle side congruence. So here's the rule on side, 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 and side angle side. So I'm not going to worry about the bottom 2 showing here in this table because they are angle, side, angle, and angle, angle, side. We'll discuss those at a different time. But in this, in the top case, side, 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 or side by side, means that the corresponding sides of these 2 triangles are congruent. Side angle side means that 2 sides and the angle between them are congruent. So here are the angles, here, and then the sides, of course, are there. All right? So again, today we are only looking at side, 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 and side angle side congruence. All right. So our first example, and hopefully this will clear up here. Let me see if I can focus this a little bit better. Let's see here. There we go. All right, so example 1 says, which 2 of these triangles below are congruent by the side, side, side theorem? So they give you 3 triangles, 2 of which are congruent. And you're to complete the congruence statement. So that would mean that one triangle is congruent to another triangle. So we would fill these in if this were the test situation or the IXL math problem that you'll be working on. So again, the side, side, side theorem states that 2 triangles are congruent if and only if the 3 sides of one triangle are congruent to the 3 sides of the other triangle. So this is restatement of the table above, but this is a little more complete. Find the 2 triangles with 3 pairs of congruent sides. So that's what you're looking for. All right? So the 2 triangles that are congruent, if you look at this very quickly, you'll notice that the triangle WVX or XVW, I'm not sure which it is offhand because my head is not working very well today and I'm not thinking what's alphabetized correctly. But if you'll notice, you've got tick marks on these 3 sides. 2 sides here are congruent to each other, 3 and 3, and then a third side is has 2 tick marks. Now if you look at these other 2 triangles, they don't have 2 3-sided tick marks in 2 sides, nor do they have, well, they have a 1-sided tick mark and the first one does not. So the 2 triangles that we're going to choose are triangle DEF and QRS. And you can see that DE, here's DE, is congruent to QR, and DF, that's this side here, is congruent to QS, that's this side here. Again, 2 tick marks here, 1 for the first one. And then the third side, EF, is congruent to RS, 3 tick marks. So that's obviously side, side, side congruence. Make sure you're showing congruent sides being congruent. Sorry, corresponding sides being congruent. All right, so the 3 sides of triangle DEF are congruent to the 3 sides of triangle QRS, as these triangles are congruent by the side, side, side theorem. To write the congruence statement, match the corresponding vertices. Since the side opposite D corresponds to the side opposite Q, D corresponds to Q. Similarly, E corresponds to R and F corresponds to F. So triangle DEF is congruent to triangle QRS. Right? Okay, so now we're going to look at a second example, and in this case we're looking at three triangles, and what we want to do is discover which two triangles are congruent by the side angle side theorem. And so if we look at these, each one of these three triangles has an angle that's congruent, and then I've got with triangle JHI, I've got one tick mark here, and I've got one tick mark at triangle QRS and one tick mark with triangle CED. But the question is the first triangle, is its angle in between the two congruent sides? And you can see they aren't. This is angle side congruence if we had a corresponding triangle that would prove it. But these two triangles, PQR and CED, they both have an angle, a congruent angle that's between the two sets of congruent sides. So obviously these latter two triangles are congruent based upon side angle side congruency. So we show PR is congruent to DE, that's our first side. Angle P is congruent to angle D, that's our angle. And side QP is congruent to side CD. So the side angle side theorem states that if two sides of a pair of triangles and the angle between them are congruent, then the two triangles are congruent. Okay? So we can conclude line segment PR is congruent to line segment DE based upon what we've seen. We can also conclude that angle P is congruent to angle D based upon, again, what we just saw here. Okay? And we can conclude that line segment QP is congruent to line segment CD. So the two triangles are congruent according to the side angle side theorem. Okay, so that's basically it. We won't keep you any further today. This is probably the simplest of these that we're going to be doing. So you should be able to get through it fairly quickly. It's not that difficult. And I'll let you go at it. Have a great afternoon. We'll talk to you later. Bye-bye now.